New Jersey ball in the 1970s and 80s was it. The city of Paterson was a breeding ground for gritty fame. The Silk City was hot. Enter Michael Mugno, substitute hooper at William Paterson College, who became the head basketball coach of Don Bosco Tech in 1972. As the streets say today, he was a ball knower and connected to greats like Hubie Brown, Rick Pitino, Rollie Massimino, and his Jersey contemporaries. The man he checked in off the bench in college? No, not Morgan Freeman, but Joe Clark, who inspired Lean On Me. You know Bobby Sr. and Jr., the other Hurley too? Dick Vitale? How about the human fly swatter Larry Barrett, his brother Gray? Tommy Van Winkle, Kevin Mulholland, and Juan Griles. The five-star first team Jimmy Cleveland earned the same honors as Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing. Speaking of the Hoya Destroyer, how can we forget a man who won a national championship for Villanova, defended number 33, and set the DBT scoring record? Today's not about him. Today's about Coach Mugno's magnum opus, defying the odds against baller legends with Keith Beetle Seegers, Laz Correa, Steve Mickens, Vaughn Flash DeBerry, and the DBT squad that earned an all-boys school of 300 its only championship.
Remember Herb Watkins? Oh, yeah. He was I'm gonna clap.
Yeah, I'll save it for the doc, all right? Are you guys ready to rock?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I know you want to start us off.
Okay. It's fun to have lawyers that keep pattern schedules and our busy lives. Real quick, let's just bow our heads in defense. All right? For allowing us to come together, sharing the food we just had, the stories we're going to tell, the connections we're making. St. John Bosco. Ready for this? All right. Now, first game, Wayne Hills. You got down. That was a tight game. Wayne Hills. You know, 8-0. Steven picks up a couple fouls. Right? Right? My father coach called timeout. One flat, we did. No. Good. And he rips at you. I mean, I think Steven, he was red for a week. And then we went out, and we went on a 16 to 6-1.
The backcourt was terrific. You know, Jimmy Cleveland was a matchup problem because he was what he called kid. He was a kid that was not 6'5", but he wasn't what he called. He didn't have to play in the post. And also Mike used to not limit guys. He gave guys some freedom. So he wasn't playing that traditional, the big kid is just going to go down on the left box and he's just going to sit in there. You know, players were allowed to put it on the floor, and he gave guys freedom, which give them a chance to, develop to get ready to be, college players.
On paper, it certainly wasn't the best team in Don Bosco Tech history, but on the floor, how can you argue with it?
Well, you will go in and put the press on, and you guys just went crazy.
Yeah. It was tight. Right before we even attacked the first game. It was no. We supposed to beat them, but
it's funny. We was just sitting there and Vaughn was saying, "Who did we play the first game?"
Yeah,
I didn't even remember who the first game was, and then I look at the article and I'm like, "Oh yeah, Vaughn actually played pretty good."
Yeah, played pretty good.
Every game we were playing, we were prepared. Now that Wayne Hill game, I mean, it was like, we was killing everybody. I think on average, we beat everybody by like 20 points a game, right? So it was like
35, 40.
Yeah, it's like, man, after halftime, all the guys that were like subs, they were getting their numbers up because we were always up by like 20 points, something like that.
So you were talented. Top to bottom.
Yeah,
All these guys. I think every great team that has a great run has to have a game like that. Most of the time, you see them have a game like this subpar game to make you look, and then you end up playing.
Reality check.
We ended up beating them by 30. I'm looking at the box score. It might have been close at some point, but 72-42.
Oh, yeah,
Anything like that?
Right there, yeah.
We knew they were going to be ready, and we knew we had to be ready. Otherwise, they were going to put a spanking on us. And a lot of times that happens when, all right, you lose to a team the year before. Now they're ready to play you the following year, and you'd be surprised, even after all of these years, the team that got beat the year before comes back with that little chip on their shoulder and that hunger in their game that there's no way we're going to lose to you tonight. And that's the attitude, and that's the way Bosco played that night. There weren't too many teams that could do that, but Bosco was one of them. The only regret I have is that no one filmed it, or there's no tape of it, because that would have been like, you talk about, all right, what's the 10 best games in Passaic County history? That would have been up there, even though it wasn't for a championship. It was for the right to get to a championship. But that's the kind of game that, you don't mind all these years later, sit down and watch it, because that was basketball the way it was supposed to be played.
All right, that Kennedy game was a big one. What was the week like preparing for that game? Was it different from what you'd done all year?
This was it.
This was it.
Me and that gym, the house gonna be packed. And that Kennedy, right? Yeah, that Kennedy. Full. Yeah, the remembrance of what just happened the year before. Let's do. Roll us out by 30. Yeah. Look at that.
You guys remember, you had a 3-year run there in the finals. You lost to Kennedy, then we had the championship, and then we lost to Kennedy again. So there was definitely a history of some real good rivalry between the two. Those games were big when they were at Kennedy. There were full houses, everybody was there. They were betting on the games up in the stands.
That's their word.
So it was a different world back then, but that was great basketball. So all those games, whether the outcomes weren't in your favor, they were still great games.
I think we had to shred that reputation of being like the soft Catholic school against the public school.
Right.
Yes. So we used to go hard at it in practice. And then we came out, I don't know if you remember the logo we came up with, Don Bosco ran tough.
Oh, yeah, I remember the stickers.
Yeah, we said the stickers because, we had to shed that late. Didn't play anyone and we soft, we had to shed that. We did a great job of shedding that by beating the shit out of each other in practice.
The knock on the parochials back in those days, the kids are kind of soft, but you could never say that about Mike's teams. His kids were as tough as they could be.
By and large, the atmosphere at those games was tremendous. And I just don't know if the atmosphere is the same. I would say that the three-point shot has made the play a little more spread out. Boy, back then, you had to get the ball to the basket. A lot of physical play, and it led to great intensity. That's a little missing today in some respects.
You're absolutely right. Because you and Chris, freak out. And the post.
Yeah, ball.
The coach was like, "Foul some more, foul more."
That bench clear brawl, and everyone came.
Yeah.
And we took it to them, and I think they said, "Wow, they came here to play." And
Remember that?
bench included, and Joe Giassi and all that. It's so long ago. It's like offsetting, technicals, playoff. Nobody got, everyone still plays. And I don't think it's amazing.
But for me on the outside looking in, because I wasn't at Don Bosco,
Right.
I was at Eastside. And our perspective, coming from Eastside, like, they saw. They got a weak schedule, they don't play nobody. You punch them in the mouth, they're gonna cry. Or they're gonna go run to their coaches, above them, cuddle them, so our take is like, let's, Eastside or Kennedy, either one of us, the whole season is a dog fight. But now when we see these guys, it's like, okay, the game before we played them, we played Passaic. We won by 1 point. So it was a dog fight. They got past Kennedy, so we was like, oh shit, this should be a home run. And they came out, and like, we played physical. I mean, you look at Bosco, you look at the articles, like, we were literally beating the shit out of Don Bosco Tech physically, but they were beating us in the game. And they beat us in the game. They won that game.
Coming from a soccer point, because I was playing soccer, but I played with you guys because it was, I love to play ball. Yeah, I didn't get in the games too many times, but going back to Daco, that I remember that, you know, you guys grew up with guys from East Side. We all did. Kennedy, East Side, you guys knew them. But yeah, they knew us as, Don Bosco. So I think the year we lost, and then the year we won, we put a name out there, because then now you guys say strong high school teams in Paterson, Kennedy, East Side, oh yeah, and Don Bosco. Because we put a stamp on, after we put a stamp on, you guys, we all walk around now like, yeah, we play at Bosco, and now it's more a little different respect or different look now, like, oh, okay, you play with Don Bosco, oh, all right, okay. Where before it was like, you play Bosco?
Yeah.
Which was a confirmation for me, which led me to transfer.
Yeah.
East Side to Don Bosco.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All right. Well, they ain't that soft, but they beat us. And they beat us handily. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and a couple of my friends over there, like, come over here, big fella. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother conversation.
I think they knew that we were coming like that. I think they saw on the outside, they were trying to keep that soft over there type thing, and then they tried to get physical and like physical. But I think that around the area, they saw we were coming like that, or whatever. So that was their resort to, only way we beat them is, get at them like that, and the result of all that.
So the physicality would make us lean back, but no. Today.
I feel like after that fight, they knew that they did everything they could to try to intimidate us, but at that time it's just ain't that.
The Kennedy game.
Yeah, the Kennedy game.
They tried it a couple of times in the game. I remember one guy, Mark Hardy, I used to play, me and Hank used to play with him. He's running up, I think he played 1-2-2 press or whatever, and I'm at the head of the press. He would come up, running up, and watch right, you so this time, we're on the hit you, clean, watch it. And I'm like, man, that's not working today. That's not working today, brother. You know what I mean? And that's when they started being real dirty and whatever.
Right. Who's on the hit you? Really?
She actually jumped up the bench like, oh, what's going on? I don't know, you got into it. I remember last and got into it. And then she actually jumped up the bench. And all I saw was you. And then I saw Jimmy Cleveland. And next thing you know, fists are flying. And I saw George Jackson run off the bench. Louie, you started running off the bench. Bill LaSalle grabbed you. And so Jackson come back with a big, like, red spot. I popped him. I was like, that was good though.
I know Joe. He's tough.
Oh yes. Yeah. He didn't even flinch. He didn't flinch.
But I know that people came out of the stands. Didn't they take us in there? If I remember correctly, they took us into the locker room to make it, and they did a head count. Make sure everybody was there. And then they calmed everything and we went back out.
Well, Laz, how did they refocus you on the game after that fight?
We went through the worst of it. It couldn't get any worse than that. So the squad was right. And I think that's what happened. I mean, if I remember, I was in the middle of it, and there was everybody around me was fighting. So we're all from Paterson, so it's nothing new to us to a point, right? We got a little dangerous with a lot of people came from the stands. They took us out. We were okay. And then, all right, we're good? All right, let's get out there and let's play ball. And that's what we did.
Yo, I gotta be honest. I loved that. I loved it. Like, it was like a movie going on. There was the people in the crowd, Laz going crazy, Gianni jumped down. I was like, yo, this is what I'm here for. I was like, I love that. I remember that like it was yesterday.
It's like someone facing a bully.
Yeah.
We're facing a bully.
Yeah.
We're the little guys. And, pushing us around too much to the point where it's like we all said, enough is enough. We're going to show you guys what we about.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, they got to the point, they got frustrated, they couldn't do anything, so they resort to violence.
The thing with me, I didn't like how the year before went down when they beat us. I felt like,
We got pumped.
yeah, let's be honest, and I didn't like that, man. I saw it, I was like, no, that's never gonna happen again. Because we, like you said, we knew these guys from out there, and they were regular guys to me. And that's how I looked at them. I was like, and we better than them. We have more talent than all of them. That's how I looked at it.
That's what it was. That was their intimidation phase. But as they stated,
A lot of them guys, we play with.
Yeah, we like to see them all the time.
It really was nothing that, they tried, I guess they tried to get out of people that maybe they didn't see on the playground, things like that, Jimmy Cleveland. Monty was out there at times too, but they tried those type of things, those type of people, but at the same time, it wasn't nothing that was gonna affect us.
Yeah,
We're used to it. They argue on a pickup game on the street, try to intimidate you, knock you out the head, things of that nature. Keep shooting on them out there. We play on 16th Ave. Try to undercut us.
That's right.
So
That was reckless. Yeah.
We couldn't give them $10 and say, go to the corner store and buy $10 worth of heart. Either you came with it or it wasn't part of what you could do. And that year, Bosco put themselves in a whole different level in that they played hard. They knew going on the court that they were either, if not the best team, damn well near the best team that's playing.
And then we got prepped because we were playing summer leagues in St. Anthony, like Georgia City. Elizabeth Dunn Center with Luther Wright.
Right.
So it was like, y'all nobody's compared to some of the dudes.
That summer league.
I went out there in Bloomfield.
That summer league was tough. Summer league was tough.
I still got a remnants of that summer league. Yeah, all of that stuff made us, believe it or not, it made us tough. And I think that's exactly why Coach wanted us to play those games, because he didn't want this to happen again to us.
Right.
And we worked. And we had the matchups in the Great Falls tournament too. Don't forget Christmas time. We were all there. We brought in teams from Rhode Island. We brought teams from South Jersey in. So we made sure that you guys were always tested. I mean, it was the smart thing to do. Coach Bucknell knew that he put those games against you. Even though you might have a loss here or there, those losses were really wins.
I think the Siegel Classic set the stage for the run in the counties and the states for us. Like, Lansing, remember that lineup? 6'6", 6'5", 6'5". Dylan, you were 6'3".
That shit was fine.
They're throwing change action. I mean, that place was wild. At the end of the court, too. Right, yes.
It was all over the court.
Yeah. Around that tournament, I know we didn't fare well in the second game, when you guys got sent home early. But that tournament got us ready for the county. Remember, Jerome Smart, Curtis White, Mark Carter. That was that team. They were tough. They were tough. It was not a good first half of basketball. We turned the ball over 12 times, but we still had the lead in the half, which is crazy. We were up 29-27. And we didn't have the fight yet. The fight comes in the third quarter. The fight came in the third quarter.
The game went till the end. I think like we were going around.
Oh, no, yeah.
I mean, we had to make free throws. We executed. We executed.
I think we were evenly matched. I just sitting on the sides, these little slumps, and then get back and this and that. And after that halftime, I remember like, all right, everybody would go out there and we just like played a little bit different than we did.
And it was a home game for we didn't have many fans there. No, it was really students. So so it was like a home. So that environment was crazy. So it was a lot we had to fight.
Yeah, it was just checked out.
Yes.
Really, they had maybe family.
But
But that was it.
We had a handful of some true fans.
I had my identical twin brother who went to Kennedy.
That's right.
They went to Kennedy, and he was rooting for us, but he couldn't say it.
That in itself speaks to the volume and talent that comes out of Paterson, because no matter what school you go to, there's no standout team or player. It's going to be a dog fight. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's on this side of town, that side of town, you're going to come prepared. Because you may be up by 10 in the first quarter, and you can easily be down 20 in the second quarter. So that just speaks to the talent that came out of Paterson, you know?
That Kennedy game, though, both years, it was just the toughest game for us, for me, because they were the most physical.
Yeah.
Eastside wasn't as physical to the championship game when we got dirty, but like every year, particularly that year when we beat Kennedy, they were just tough. Like they were hungry. What I liked was so coach would get mad and go crazy, but then when I'm walking out at halftime, he's right beside me, he's whispering in my ear, and he's filling me up.
Like, despite how bad or whatever, foul trouble, whatever, just keep beating me, you know, filling me up with some inspiration. So it makes you feel like you can accomplish almost anything, you know, because I got yelled at a lot. I got in foul trouble a lot, right? So, it's different things, right? But it was that whisper in the ear, though. Like, it was those conversations that as I'm walking back out of the halftime, every time during that whole championship run, to get to the championship game, he was always like in my ear. But when we get in the locker room, hell, he was yelling the hell out at me, you know, just cussing me out, whatever, you know. And it was good because, you know, we were seniors. Right. And if he could do that to us, then it made all you guys be like, yo, he's holding everybody. He don't care who you are.
The fear, we had no fear. We feared Mugler more than we feared you. That's right. Fear. Like dealing with him, taking the error, worried about whether you're coming out or not. You want to stop down the bench. Like get him. Get him. When I was younger, you think he used to do it all the time. He's always pulling me by my shorts, like, damn!
We were only a block away from Kennedy, and it was two different worlds.
Yeah,
right.
It was.
Yeah,
right. It was.
A block away from Kennedy, it was two different, totally different atmospheres. Going to school in Kennedy and going to school in Bosco. And that,
Ray could attest to that too, even from east side to our place, right?
Yeah.
What a big culture change.
Cultural shock for me. Yeah. I never, always, all I know is Baptist. And first time I sit in and I see them doing Hail Mary, I'm freaked out. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing them drinking wine and breaking bread. And I'm like, boy, I'm talking to my boy. It's like,
Ray, why you never confess? Go to confess.
They would have kicked me out of Don Bosco. But yeah, I mean, literally two different cultures and you know, it opened up a whole world.
And the other thing too, was good about it, not only did my brother go to Kennedy, I used to live directly across the street from Kennedy. And I used to walk past there the day like a couple of days after we won. It was great walking through there. And Jimmy, your father used to pick me up and take me to school. That's right. And in those days, I didn't want to get picked up. I just wanted to walk.
Collins then goes on to say, Seegers proved you can play under pressure, and so did Mitten. So he was actually doubting before the game our two captains and probably our two best players and leaders on the court. Guys, back to the game, bringing it back. Warner Keith, you pass the ball over the lads, and they like tackle him.
Yeah.
Right for the 1-on-1. And they called a timeout to ice.
I looked over at the coach, and they thought for sure I wasn't going to make the second. And I was scared to death. Scared. I was scared. I was shaking. But I had to take the shot anyway, right? So I took the shot. And that one went on net. On net. That was it.
It was like they went into some funk or fog. They couldn't think. And then all of a sudden we go to the one when Clemson, remember Clemson? Clemson, two guys high, and you got the ball, and the ball is hiding behind you, Steve, because he's like, I don't want the ball right now. Last hiding behind me, he's like, Last like, don't give me the ball, right? And so they're like, Keith, you hold the ball. So Keith holding the ball. And all of a sudden they come at you. Steven gets the ball from the ref, he turns to the bench, he wins, and he makes the first one. And we're like, that's balls. That's big balls.
Wow.
So how did it feel after that game?
Then losing the year before, and it was just like, man, how can we get over this hump? Can we really do it? And then you know, everything that transpired before that, and then going back and forth. It was great coaching display too, with an execution and timeout. Collins were adjusting. He would call his timeout. He adjusted to us. Coach Buckner would call his timeout. He adjusted to Collins. And it was just like coaching battles, and we just did everything they told us to do. Yeah. And if you had talent, then you accented your talent, but you executed the way they executed.
Both of us felt, Tyrone, myself, and Mike, that whoever was going to win our game was going to win the counties. We were trying to win 2 in a row. Bosco was always there, but they never could make it to the final. And this time they did. And if you were to ask all the coaches in the county that year and all the fans that came to the games, not that Bosco was the sentimental favorite, but your dad put so much into the game. They wanted to see him win.
So here's a little something. We got Coach Hurley. A little interview. He said a few words about Passaic County basketball and Don Bosco Tech.
Wow.
When we played, we played in Don Bosco, it's going to be a game because they're ready for anything in the States because they've just worked their way through East Side and Kennedy and Passaic Tech. Everybody you have to play, the Wayne schools, anybody you have to play during the course of the year. And Passaic at the time, when East Side and Kennedy were good, that county was unbelievable because it was, basketball was so big.
Today is February 23rd. If you look at the packet that you have, what was the day that we beat East Side? 25th. What was the day of that game? 40 years ago to the day. The night was the night. The night was the night. Now you guys were getting ready. We had the 8:30 game. What was it like leading up to that game?
Vets were starting to have conversations in barbershops and on the streets, on the corners, man. People were talking about that game. Coaches were talking about that game. And I just remember hearing all of the stuff I bet you $25 that Eastside's gonna blow Don Bosco out. It was all those kind of things, But then you got everyone talking and doubting us. But then I just felt like after we beat Kennedy, it was I ain't gonna have no other tough game after this. It's gonna be pretty easy. And we beat them last year, my junior year, at 51-49. And so I was just confident that we're not overconfident, but was just we're gonna play our best game.
We belong.
We here.
Yeah.
That's all.
Greg, what was the sentiment in the East Side?
I mean, for us, after we got past Passaic, and we know we see and beat Don Bosco, it should have been a cakewalk. You know what I'm saying? They soft, they got a weak schedule, ain't got no dogs over there. That was our mantra. That was our attitude walking into the game. I'm looking in front of me, the upperclassmen. I'm like, Steve Mickens, Jimmy Cleveland, the only one Beatles, my man. I know Bourne was fast as hell, but he couldn't shoot. We got this. That's why I had that. I'm But yeah, you guys, y'all stood the test of time, man, and y'all showed up and showed out, man. And that changed my whole concept of teamwork, and the whole moving forward process.
Get there to see one game. It was always see Don Bosco, and then try to get back and have a late practice or have a really early practice and get out there and watch these teams go. I remember one day I was out there getting ready for Don Bosco, and I'd seen East Side earlier. And when I saw East Side, I couldn't believe how quickly they shot the ball. And then I called your grandfather during the week, and I was just checking on the time of the game. And I think they were going to play them. So I said, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm coming to scout you. I'm bringing an assistant coach because I have to know how many shots they're going to get up in a 32-minute game. Are you ready for this? They got up 106 shots. In 32-minute game, 106 shots because they played fast, they shot quick, and they rebounded every miss. They expected to shoot it quickly, and they also looked like they expected everybody to miss because everybody be on the glass. And it was a crazy, crazy game. And you look at that and saying, we can't simulate that. Like Don Bosco coming in for us now, we can't be quick enough to bother us with our quickness. Look what we just saw. So he said, we just got to get ready for a game. And they have been tested because they'll have played back-to-back games and a semi and a final there that are as good as teams that can play as good as anybody in the northern or central part of the state.
In one corner of the room sat Von DeBerry, the confident DBT sophomore known as Flash. When he said, everyone's saying that East Side is this and that, but all I know Yet they lost 2 of the last 3 games. And then he walked out of the room.
Right, right. And I didn't even, I think the question was with the coach. And I'm just sitting there cutting the tape off and about to walk out. And the reporter asked him that, and I just started talking. I didn't even look up. I think I just said what I said and walked out. But that's how I felt. I was like, we ready for these guys. Like, we are not scared of these dudes. We ready. And I remember walking out, but I remember hearing Coach Boyd say, hey, your answer right there. Right. We ready.
That's what I was gonna ask, what did coach?
Yeah, I was walking out, I heard Coach say, he had that smile. I did look up. I walked out and I looked up when I was walking back because I heard like a little rumble, like little, oh. But then I looked and I saw Coach, and he had that smile, he had his arms crossed, and he go right there to the reporter.
Did you guys?
The next I know, I ain't gonna cut you over. The next I know, I think we played at nighttime the next day. So that was in the paper the next morning. So it was like bulletin board material. So I guess that's what led up to all of them trying to move it, try to take us out physically and all that stuff. But what it was.
Did you feel that the semifinal game with Kennedy was like the championship game, and that the East Side game was just a game we had to play to name us champions? Because
I felt like once we got over the hurdle with the Kennedy thing, I didn't feel like that because that.
But I mean, just by the conversation here, we really like took that Kennedy game so serious, and so I guess to get even. But was the East Side game that as important?
It was more serious. This is it.
Very good.
Championship out of game. That don't even matter if you don't get this off, right?
Trying to get the
This
juice
for the
going.
money. Yeah. Championship game.
I was scared to death. I was like,
And I knew that it was gonna be the same atmosphere, packed out.
yeah,
It's the city. It's the city.
even more so.
We had our fans there.
Even more so.
Yeah, the city.
Yeah.
So it was big. It was
have
big.
more people against us now that we beat Kennedy. Definitely Kennedy would put us to lose East
Didn't
Side.
need no hype juice for that.
Real.
Gotta get ready for war again.
Yeah. And there was, the thing that stuck out to me is how many people were at that game.
Both sides.
Standing room, both sides. Standing room. So
I remember that too. It was packed.
Even in the picture that we see here, you can look at how packed this place was.
We had the rope around the leg.
Yeah. I mean, in the layup line, right? You looking at the fans, they
Felt the electricity,
felt
the electricity,
we
right?
about to bring it here today. Yeah, you saw all of that.
And I never felt like we were like a home team where they liked us from people who were
We
Paterson.
didn't bring the same energy from the Kennedy game. We wouldn't win in that game.
No, we didn't bring it.
The attendance doesn't seem to be the same at high school games anymore. When you would go see one of the games you were talking about, Al, Kennedy East Side, Don Bosco Tech Kennedy, any of the games involving those teams, it was packed. You better get there. A regular season game in December or January, it was packed. Okay, Don Bosco Tech was a small gym, but it was even more important that you got there early, because if you didn't get there early, you wouldn't get in.
In the very beginning, when the pushing and the shoving and it got real physical, I was like, oh, okay, this is different. Like, they're blatantly
Yes.
hitting us hard. They're
Right.
blatantly doing these things. So they're trying to psychologically get into our head. But by then, we were already equipped for it.
Right.
Because the brawl against Kennedy was like, Kennedy tough.
Yeah.
So we were already equipped for this right
To
here.
be honest with you, that's how I felt about the first loss to Kennedy when they demolished us. I felt as though they got in a few of our heads. Some of the guys that was out there, that was some of the main guys. To me, looking on the outside, looking in, I think they were right. I think like not to talk down about us, but I think some of our guys got rattled. In the beginning, they shook them up a little bit, and we just couldn't get back.
First quarter of the game was back and forth. It was like a track meet. We were going up and down. Yeah. Oh, Greg, what was Coach saying, or you guys saying to each other?
You know what, Coach Pelosi communicated to us, is like, this is Don Bosco Tech. Take their hearts.
Really?
Take their hearts. And add fuel to the fire, that article didn't help. It's more talking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yo, we
not
got
some-
to play a
anybody that ever played for Don Pelosi, he's a fiery Italian dude. And just like knock somebody's teeth out. I don't care what you gotta do, we need to win this game. And you tell a guy like Gary Miller or With Boston, these are straight street guys, man. And they gonna close hand you. You're gonna know you got fouled. And I came under that mentorship. Like, you gotta play hard. You ain't tired in 3 minutes. You ain't playing hard. So either you're gonna foul hard, or you're gonna rebound hard, or whatever you gotta do. What your assignment is? These guys are Don Bosco Tech. Take them out.
Yeah, right. We see how that plays.
It was crazy. Leading up to it was just talking in town.
Yeah, the town, the total,
The town
the whole
was
week,
just
we had a
soft.
whole
Yeah,
week.
the town was
Yeah,
soft.
man, that was, I love that stuff.
So at the half, we're up by 4, right? And East Side, their whole mantra, their whole MO that whole season was come from behind. It was like a shuffleboard match that coach had to play with the depth to see and basically say, all right, Keith's out. You got to pick it up, Steve. You're the only senior out there for us. You know? But we hung tough. Like we endured.
One thing you did though during that game though, because I remember Jimmy Cleve hurt his hip, and he was down there. He got in his face and told him to get up. And I think we had a timeout. He was like, "Yo, we backing down from these guys.
Right.
Yo, let's go. Like you said something, we was like, oh shit,
Right.
let's get it.
Right.
Like he was like, backing down
Right.
from them, you know. And he was like, Cleve, get up, don't grab your ass, grab your ass, get up. And that was just we followed you, seriously. That would be like, oh
He was a
snap.
physical dude down there. He was physical now.
Like it was like when we looked in your eyes, and you would had that fire, and you was like, cause you don't really say a lot.
Right.
And then when you was like, what? They doing this? And it was like timeout, and we just went out and just said, we're gonna make this happen.
Right.
You know?
I remember that. I just remember, I mean, I just remember Keith was just controlling stuff there. All 3 of these games, speaking of, he was just controlling it. Smooth operator.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure at that time.
Yes.
That atmosphere was crazy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm a sophomore. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for this stuff. You get on the court, you're like, I'm glad Keith is the primary player. I'm like, help him out. And then my time's gonna come in a couple of days. But he doing this right now. He was really like, yo, smooth operator. But then when he did that with Cleveland, that fire came out. And
One point in the game, I forget who, maybe Austin, you were driving the lane and stole the ball from him. And you sprinted down the floor and pinned the ball on the back, pull it down. Wait, you drive down the floor, you pull up and you get a jumper from just beyond the yellow.
Foul line, yeah.
The foul line.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was a turning point in the game because it was going to be a 4-point swing. When he stole it, I remember looking and seeing your face. You're like, I'm getting it.
Beetle, you do that today?
I can't get halfway up the floor.
That's why.
But that was the intensity of the game, man. I mean, yeah, them 2 games, that was city stuff, man.
Yeah,
And the Winter County, somebody never won the county.
Right.
Yeah.
He was a state champion, but he never had won that game. He's been playing in the county for a long time. He was big. He was big.
So I think, what was it, Louis Soto who hit those big free throws?
Let's go like, come in. She can pass
I remember Coach
Forget that.
Soto coming down the bench. I'm like, listen, I know I hit free throws, but I know he wasn't looking at me. He gets Louis, and Prentice is getting ready, and he calls Louis' number. And Louis goes out and sinks the biggest 2 free throws of his life.
I'll tell you this now, man. I'll shit my pants. Literally, my whole thing playing with you guys, like I said, I played soccer for Don Bosco, but I hung out with you guys, and I didn't go to 16th Ave and go play ball. I played at Pennington Park, and mostly it was me and the soccer, but for me it was to get you guys ready when practice came around. That was my thing. I was like, I'm a practice dude. I didn't think I was ever going to get to play, especially county championship game. And you got injuries, people thrown up against the wall, ambulance comes out, and you gonna call me? And first I walk out there and it was just like fresh meat. They looking at me like we found him. Because we don't even know who he is. We don't know.
He looked like a soccer player.
So for me to be like, even in practice. We prepare, we shoot our foul shots, we do our practices. Man, I don't know what saint I prayed to when I was on that line. Well, when it's 5 out of 6, I mean, I'll take it. I got my name on the box too. I got my name in the paper.
That's
Got my
right.
name in the paper.
Good stuff right there, dude. That's good stuff.
So I can tell my kids. That's what I know. I said right after that. I can tell my kids when I get older. And I do tell them.
In a different way though.
Yeah. No,
Not that they.
I was clutch.
But now, just to piggyback on what Warren was saying, and even after I left, I graduated and left and became coaching. And I stayed at the middle school level. And I would tell my kids, like, you can leave here and start for another team. You can go do that. But if you want to win, you want to iron sharpens iron. And that's what we had around this table. You know, we had, everybody knew that this kid, he's good. He wouldn't be here if he wasn't good. If he wasn't a player, he wouldn't be here. So any little slip, you can lose your spot. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a testimony like Don Bosco Tech breeded players. Right? Men, real men and real players. And that's the beauty of what Mugno developed in the program.
So Lou, going back, Monty goes down. We were winning 53-44. Monty goes down. You come in, you wound up winning the game 68-51. And we go 32-45. Wow. Third shot. And Vaughn, if you remember that fourth quarter with Gary Miller, who stole the ball. I forget who. And you go in for the layup, and Miller comes in, and like Greg, you said, clothesline. He went after you, and Charlie Travers, the official, goes out of the game. Threw him right out of the game, called an intentional foul, and he made the layup. I mean, did you see him coming, or did you go like, I'm just taking to the hole?
Nah, I just went to the hole, and then next I know whatever happened. But I turned around like, yeah, and I remember the whole Don Bosco crowd was going crazy, like, yeah, it don't matter. and I turned around and this dude Gary Miller. Now, Gary Miller, we know him from outside. Gary Miller's a big monster dude. Gary Miller turned around, I'm like, yeah, ready. He was standing right there, and he said, yo, man, I don't care about basketball no more. Yo, I'm telling you, I do that, but I said, ref, get this guy.
Yo, that's it.
Right there, we were celebrating though. After that, like, I mean, we winning at that time, but when that happened, it was over. It was officially over. I remember looking at the crowd and, you know, we used to have the chance. They used to have the chance, the college chance and all of that. They were doing all that stuff. I was like, whoa, this is what it's about. Because you grow up, you go to those games. Sure. You go to those games, you go to the Eastside games, you go to Don Bosco. I went to a lot of Don Bosco games before Don Bosco. You go to these games, and that's what it was about.
Very difficult team to scout. So the only way you could beat us was to beat us up, because it's a very difficult team to scout. Other teams weren't difficult. They had 1 or 2 main dudes.
Right.
It was. You know what's different too, though? I keep remember, like Coach was letting me and Jimmy shoot from outside. Like, look, like I could have went to Eastside. Pelosi said to me, "You gonna play on paint?" Mike Mugno says to me, "You want to play in college? You got to be a small forward. You know how to handle the ball. You got to know how to shoot it." So he gave me and Jimmy opportunities in practice, after practice, to shoot from the corner and not just be big men. And so when that's why we were hard to scout. Is because if you're going to back off on us, we're going to knock you down. You know, and that was something he just drilled into us all the time. And I think it. You know, your dad always said cream always rises to the top, right? And that final game, the cream was rising.
We would kill zones because everybody could shoot.
Everybody could shoot.
No fail. Jimmy, Stevie, and me.
Yeah.
We kill a zone. Wow.
And I think that's why at Eastside we took the perspective of the assault. Because that's when the game really started to evolve where it's 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" down, stepping outside of the paint. Shooting 10, 15 foot.
Yeah,
so,
we do
you know,
stretch 4 and 5 before stretch 4 and 5. That's the thing, right?
You know
In that level. Yeah.
So you got guys like me and Gary Miller and Don Bosco who like we eat in the paint. You know, if I knew then what I know now.
Yeah. I think that was beautiful time. And we were on the heels of what the Vikings doing at Villanova. So it was all of that at the same time. So it was special, yo.
Like, we all got along. And like, it was like Coach saw something, and it all came together our senior year. And like, I remember, Lou, when he put you in, I was like, oh shit. Cause you was like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? But he knew at the right time, in the right moment, what he needed, and you nailed it down. That's to me was like, it was like Picasso. It was like poetry in motion. It was like, I know how to pick each player each time to get the best out of them. And like you were saying, everybody was rising up, whether we were hurt, somebody's injured or whatever, everyone stepped in. And it was all a part of the characters of the people that he had on the team. Like, we had some really good character people, man. We really, really wanted to do it for Coach, right? We really, really did. And so when I started looking at my teammates and seeing you guys all around, I'm like, man, it was meticulous. It was intentional, it was meticulous, and it got to where we won a county championship. And like, I'll never forget that, right? I'll never
And I definitely, like Al said, you know, and I went up, caught myself out, and I'm walking up, and he hugged me real quick, and he just said, you know, I've been here before. That calmed me down a little bit. My heart was like, walked out. When I went home, I was like, I don't believe what I just did. I literally was like, I don't believe I hit 5 points. And it was great, man. It was, and see, you nailed it, man. It was like your father made a work of art. Like, and he knew what stroke, what color, what, at what time. Because who would look at me over Prince to go in the game at a time like that?
I know, I was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm
like, no, but I think though, too, just to jump on something you said, Steve, I think we all like each other.
That was the confidence level he had in you guys to go out there and get the job done. And he was spot on. I knew that night we were winning.
Yeah.
I just knew.
I think that's where my comment came from, because he said that, and I was just sitting there, and it just flowed out. They didn't ask me anything. I just said what I said. He see that on right on. Hey.
I didn't realize he said it till probably I looked at the argument. I don't think I could feel.
He said it.
You know, apparently, going on was a shit starter.
City Paterson, man, is so much talent. It ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
We were small. We put a bunch of guys together. Yeah. Look how many times Kennedy got jacked with about 20 county titles on him. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that's another
They got
story.
jacked with about 20, you know. We were just, how many people? 300?
Yeah. Then at the same time, on behalf of that, we got to give a lot to Mr. Backer.
Yes.
God bless that, Mr. Lethbridge, Sal, for the recruitment, because like, who really wanted to go to a voice?
That's right.
Who wanted to come here just
That's
to play
right.
basketball? So you really, your heart had to be in it to come do it.
Yeah,
So,
great.
and based on them finding the
Right.
talent,
Same,
finding
yeah.
individuals, getting them to get here, telling them we tried to tell them, and then at the same time we was there to make them feel comfortable staying.
Just had a great chemistry.
Yeah, it was
They all had their their role. They knew what they're supposed to do. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better gentleman than Mo.
Pete was an integral part of me making the decision to transfer to Don Bosco. At the time, me and my mother was living in a 1-bedroom studio.
Yeah.
I was sleeping on boxes.
Yeah.
People don't know this side, you know. So I went to Pete, and I went with Pete. I got a chance to go to Don Bosco. I talked to the coaches. He's like, get the hell out of here. Don't look back. You got a chance to go to Don Bosco. Pelosi was pissed. Pelosi was pissed. But I saw that as an opportunity to get out of my situation. I actually stayed over with Alan a few nights a week. Stayed with a bunch of guys on the team a few nights a week just to make sure I got to school and all that good stuff. But it changed the trajectory of my life. And I owed it all to Mike.
Yeah, going to Bosco, it kind of shifted my whole perspective of my life, because I went there, I remember my freshman year, I went there, when I was there my freshman year, there was a kid in my class who got a B, and I don't know what subject. He was in tears because he was like, I'll never get into Princeton. So it kind of like changed my whole perspective on like the end game. Like in the inner city, it's just trying to get through the day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was like Bosco like gave me an end game. Like I need to decide what the hell I want to do with myself. You know what I mean? So it was big for me. And I was the only child. My story is similar to yours. I had 4 siblings. They all went to public school. I went to private school. Ray Schuyler, dad got me into Bosco. I played for him at City. I played for Kearney AC. Yeah, so he got me in. But man, like you, no heat, government cheese, the whole 9. You know, the little critters running in out your cereal box, you open the box, oh, the whole 9. So it kind of changed, and I was like, I need to decide what I want. Like I always said, like I can't live like this the rest of my life. Something gotta change. Like life can't be like this. You know, so it really changed my whole perspective. So I can honestly say, I tell people, Bosco saved my life. It didn't change, it saved my life.
I just told Big Coach yesterday, I said, yo, man, I said, I give you props, and I love you, man. I said, because all these years, and you talking about 40 years later, your Big Coach was the guy that kept the Don Bosco name alive, and he was doing refereeing and all. They talking about all this other stuff, Kennedy, East Side, Tech, whatever. Big Coach was like, Don Bosco. And I knew what he was on. I'm like, 'cause I was part of that. And your Big Coach kept the name alive. And by the way, that's a great hoodie you got on right there. We all would love to know you got that.
You know, Passaic County basketball is still pretty good, but that might have been as close to the peak as you could get. And for these guys to be able to come back 40 years later and remember those moments, it's fitting that they're all there, but it's even more telling that they all want to be there and go over that.
I don't think that he would say that those games we played, packed house in Paterson, packed house in Jersey City, you know, games decided by 4th quarter possessions, you know, kids shaking hands and going home, seeing each other, you know, off the court and being cordial. It was a great time. And maybe the kids, maybe in certain respects now, maybe shooting is better because of the 3-point line, but I'm not so sure. And maybe fancy dribbling is better. But the guys, the city guards who could get in the lane and make plays, and the toughness of the guys, the ability to you were used to playing in the city. You grew up playing against anybody that was around. This is a generation of age group basketball. The rivalries, the crowd. I went to see last night. I went to see Plainfield and Union play last night. And Plainfield's a really good team. But the atmosphere wasn't charged. You know, the two schools there wasn't a connection. You don't feel that energy. There was nothing like going to the Passaic County tournament.
Well, I will say this unequivocally. I don't know who the coach would be. If it was your father, if it was Ty, may he rest in peace, it would have been the most difficult thing to do to try to find one basketball team out of all of that talent in Paterson.
Do you guys remember the locker room speech after?
No, we were just so. I don't remember.
I kept saying 5 points. 5 points.
I think he just let us have a free fall for a while. He might have brought it down towards the end, but everybody was.
He didn't come right in.
Not long. I don't remember.
You're right. Practice it was short.
It was short.
You let you guys celebrate. You said, "Listen, enjoy it."
Yes.
You know, we'll turn around. We got the skates coming on.
Yes.
And that was it. He's like, he walked out of the locker room. And all you heard was a roar.
It changed my life because I take it everywhere I go. Like after Don Bosco, go to college. After college, I coached, high school sports up in New York. I was an athletic director, and I used to just kind of mirror what Coach did for me. and my family is so grateful and appreciative to the opportunity and being ready for college. It was a college preparatory school, and I don't think if I hated chemistry. You know, most of the guys hated chemistry. I hated my English teacher. Remember that kid, what's her name? I hated her, but they drove me and put their accountability and said I can do it. And so then going through all of the trials and tribulations of, I remember my sophomore year, I ended up starting, but White and a couple other players took me to crazy places to play basketball. We're gonna get you ready. We're gonna get you ready for next year. And I was getting my ass kicked. We was playing with grown men, like legends at Eastside, back in the day. And these guys whooping my ass, and I'm 15 years old. And it was like, we're gonna get you ready. And so that all kept evolving each year, whether it's going to Jersey City, to a classic. Coach would just prepare us for life. And so now, as I look at any obstacle, I'm like, a delay ain't now, but we're gonna get over the mountain. And I'm gonna strategically do it, and I have faith in doing it. But more importantly, I'm gonna intentionally pick the people that are around me to make me a better leader, so that if I pick those right people, we're gonna accomplish the ultimate goal.
I really want to thank you guys for coming out there, putting the time in, and taking the time out of your schedules again. As Coach would say after the last game, all right, in the locker room, and it was usually in state tournament when he lost. And he'd say, listen, you guys gave your best. And basketball is a game of life, ups and downs, wins and losses. He said, but he always ends with this one line. Remember, guys, it's never a goodbye. I will see you later. And on that note, remember to win. Good job. You guys want to take a quick picture?
Yeah. Let's get a picture. What should we say in that? Let's get a picture.